Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm bringing you week 3 of my weekly Hellfire Gala review series. Yes, it's actually week 4 of the Hellfire Gala. I guess when I was recording I somehow lost my ability to count past the number 3, but if I say week 3 at any point, I just mean week 4. Each and every week of this X-Men Hellfire Gala, which is basically just this one night only, that the mutants of Morocco are inviting any other heroes, any ambassadors, different people from different countries to come to Krakoa for this one night only to learn the plans for mutant kind. The plans that Morocco has. So over these first 3 weeks of the Hellfire Gala, now this 4th one, we've been getting a lot of huge announcements for the future of all of X-Men comics, and they've expanded to Mars, a whole bunch of other stuff. We've got 3 different issues today. We had Wolverine issue number 13, S.W.O.R.D number 6, and Wave X number 3. And as always for these Hellfire Gala reviews, I'm going to be going over them in the order that you're actually supposed to read them, with full spoilers. So spoiler warning, just a fair warning. If you have not read these issues yet and you want to know what happens in them before you watch this video, just a warning, read them right now so you don't get spoiled. And this week I thought the issues were pretty decent. These first 2 I'm going over, Wolverine and S.W.O.R.D, were my favorites by far, with S.W.O.R.D being one of the most important issues. The ones highlighted in red that the checklist that they provide you suggests that those 4 issues that are in red are actually the ones that have the big announcements, which you actually need to read. And this is the last of those 4, and I completely agree with that. All of the other tie-ins have just basically been issues of these ongoing series, starting with Wolverine issue number 13, because this is the one that you're supposed to read first. You can see on the cover there, we have Wolverine battling Deadpool, and this Wolverine number 13 is a direct follow-up to the X-Force issue. I think it was issue 20, or it might have been 21 of X-Force, that we got in the very first week of the Hellfire Gala. So now 3 weeks later, we're getting the actual follow-up to that story. This one basically just picks up right where that last one left off. In the X-Force issue, we saw that Beast and Sage, the, brains behind the X-Force team, had been hijacking some different ambassadors at the party from this country called Terra Verde that I'm pretty sure is completely made up, that's been part of X-Force for the ongoing continuity of the series. And they were implanting these little, bugs, Krakoan technology, into these Terra Verdan minds, and controlling them to try to get them to keep on doing this trade deal with Krakoa. But then in that last X-Force issue, our big cliffhanger was that Emma Frost, who's the woman behind the entire night, the leader of the whole Hellfire Trading Company, she completely disabled all of those bugs that they had in a bunch of different ambassadors and, spokespeople for the Terra Verdan country. And then after they found out, they were angry, obviously. So one of these Terra Verdan people had some sort of plant technology, which turned him into this giant, almost man-thing-like monster. And now Wolverine, he's needing to go after this plant person. And I guess this is the one scene where Wolverine is actually the focus of this issue, because it is his ongoing series. But like I was saying, the majority of this issue is basically just X-Force. And Wolverine is focused on just as much as any of the other characters. But Wolverine and Domino, who are both ground control for the X-Force team, are able to take down all of these plant monsters, these Terra Verdan ambassadors who have turned into these monsters. Domino uses her special Krakoan tech arm to set fire to a few of them. Quentin Quire is able to telepathically influence a few of them to make them forget that anything ever happened. They don't want this night to have any consequences, but Beast, he has some different ideas. This has been a recurring theme in the X-Force series for a long time at this point, but he's kind of an extremist guy. He thinks that it's worth mind-controlling different Terra Verdan ambassadors if it's for the good of the world. He was saying that nations aren't built on, complete cooperation. Sometimes you just have to force people to do things, and he's, trying to get Krakoa to conquer the entire world. So I think he's going to be more and more of a problem. A lot of different mutants on the X-Force team and Emma Frost at this point are hating him more and more for being like this. But then finally in the second half of this issue, we see Deadpool coming back. Deadpool's sort of an honorary member of X-Force since he first appeared in the New Mutants comic, so he's just trying to crash Krakoa. Benjamin Percy does a really good job on writing Deadpool in this issue. I forgot to mention also the art on this one is by Scott Eaton. We just see that they led Deadpool into the party at the end because it's pretty much over at this point. Why not? He's just drinking beer and enjoying some nice times with Domino and Wolverine, just like, I guess, old X-Force comics when they were both on the team. So yeah, that is the Wolverine issue. I liked it a lot, actually. Although it didn't focus on Wolverine, I thought that the art was pretty decent, the writing was especially good, and I liked that Deadpool showed up because he hasn't had his own series in a really long time. This is the only Deadpool content that we've gotten in a few months at this point. Alright, and then next up, this is one of the more important issues of the Hellfire Gala. It's S.W.O.R.D issue number 6. And we got some really important stuff going on in this issue. This is chronologically, you're supposed to read it after Wolverine. So I'm immediately pulling this off the stand so I can get everything everything right and refresh my memory. Written by Al Ewing and Valerio Schiti, a really, really good creative team. I originally was buying this series ongoing, but I stopped after a few issues, and this series kind of made me, this issue, kind of made me regret it, because it was a really good issue. The art was spectacular, and the writing was really good. There was some great banter between different characters, heroes and mutants alike. The issue opens with a conversation between Captain America and Dr. Doom. They're talking about how Krakoa has terraformed Mars and taken it over, made it a livable environment for the Arakan mutants without any consent from the rest of the world, from the US government or any other nations. And Captain America is talking about how he's always been a believer in exploring and expanding. He just wished that Krakoa had done it with the rest of the world. So I really liked that. I think Al Ewing did a good job writing Captain America. You never know, maybe Ewing will be the one who takes over the Captain America series after Ta-Nehisi Coates' run ends. But then for the rest of this issue, we get a conversation in the Intergalactic Council. So this is held at the S.W.O.R.D station, which is what the series is about in the first place. This huge station which is orbiting above Earth and is meant to protect Krakoa, I guess, as well as the rest of the world, run by a bunch of mutants. So, in the recent Planet-Size X-Men issue last week, after they finished terraforming Mars and moved all of the Arakan mutants into it, they also set up a whole new S.W.O.R.D station, using the powers of Jamie Braddock. I guess he can just manifest things if he thinks of them correctly. So they have 2 different stations now. And my guess was that this issue was going to follow them actually having to figure out, what part of the crew stays at this station, what part of the crew goes to S.W.O.R.D Station 2, how they maintain both stations, but that really wasn't what this was about at all. And it took a huge turn that I wasn't expecting. We got some really important things for the future of just Marvel space in general, which Al Ewing has been writing pretty much all of. But we basically see the S.W.O.R.D team pitching a new thing to these Intergalactic Council members, and it's a really big deal. Basically, to put it into short words, this S.W.O.R.D team reveals that they have made this new metal. They, test it against the strongest metal that they know of in the universe, which is, some Kree metal that they use on their ships, and this mutant is just able to bend it easily. But then one of the S.W.O.R.D members brings out this new metal. They're calling it Mysterium, which is what they're calling it, and the same mutant tries to bend it. I guess she has super strength, and she can't. So, of course, the Krakoan mutants are the only ones that can make it, so they're the only ones that have control over how it gets distributed. So Abigail Brand, the head of the S.W.O.R.D station, tells them that they're going to give each council member a few tons of this metal, just as, a peace sign, and, one of them, I think it was the Super Skrull, is there's got to be a catch to this. And Abigail Brand reveals that they want to make this metal the new currency. They want Krakoa to become the richest country in the world. It already is, but now they're expanding into the galaxy. Now that they have control over Mars, they can use this Mysterium that only they can produce to distribute it to different nations. They're giving them even more money, and they're just becoming more and more powerful. And it's revealed that they want Arakko to be basically the capital of the entire galaxy. This is something that I find really interesting. She uses it as a metaphor and compares it to Earth, because of course in Earth we have all of these different countries, all of these different nations, but no, they're not all united, obviously. We don't have one capital of the entire Earth, and that's what she's wanting to do with the entire solar system. So this is an even bigger announcement, I'd say, than the Planet-Size X-Men one, because this is a whole galaxy thing that's going on just in this Hellfire Gala tie-in. It seems so small compared to what they're actually doing in this issue. And I think Al Ewing, since he's the guy behind everything galactic in Marvel right now, between Guardians of the Galaxy and S.W.O.R.D, I think this is really his doing. This is going to be followed up in Guardians and a bunch of different stuff. His Last Annihilation event, which is starting next issue of S.W.O.R.D. And the biggest reveal that we have this issue yet, though, Dr. Doom comes in. He's like, okay, I understand what you're saying. You want this Mars planet to be the capital of the entire universe, but there's no way there's no ruler. Who is the ruler behind all of this? No country works just led by its people. There's got to be a ruler. And then in a crazy double splash page, we see Manifold open a gate, and then Storm comes through, revealing that she is the regent of Mars, the leader of the entire universe. I mean, this is such a big announcement. I'm surprised they didn't hype up this issue more, because this makes Storm pretty much the queen of the entire galactic universe. Of course, nobody has officially agreed to this yet, but at this point, with Krakoa distributing this new metal, they can easily take control of things. I don't think they're trying to do bad or anything, but, now that they've got Mars conquered, now that they have Storm as the leader, and this metal that they can use to get all of this money, get control over things. They are the rulers of the galaxy. So this is really interesting. We've already gotten the solicits for S.W.O.R.D issue 8, I think, the issue after the next one, in which we're going to see Storm, just her point of view, what it's like ruling Mars, what it's like being at the center, the capital of the entire universe. So I might just have to keep on getting this series. This issue picked up a lot for me, a lot more better than those first issues that I got were. I cannot wait to see where this goes. But then we get this one little tiny, like, 5-page sequence in the back in which we see the party has fully ended, and Magneto is just, like, sad, sitting somewhere near the Quiet Council, I think, drinking. Through a Krakoan gate comes Wanda Maximoff, his daughter, who he raised along with Quicksilver, you know, all that mutant history. And she said she was scared to come to the gala, so she came very late, even after it was fully over, and he was really wanting her to come, because, you know, she has a lot of history. She murdered, like, the entire mutant population, practically, in the House of M event, and Magneto is saying that she's his daughter. He loves her more than anything, obviously, and he's saying he'll do anything to make things right. In this final page, we see them, like, dancing together, after the Hellfire Gala is fully over. And my best guess is that this is teasing the Trial of Magneto miniseries that we recently had announced. That's going to be a follow-up to the Hellfire Gala, just a miniseries by Leah Williams and Lucas Werneck. And it seems like he's gonna do something bad to protect Scarlet Witch against other mutants who, you know, hate and fear her. I'm really excited what they can do with all of these plot threads, all of these big announcements that they've just made in this S.W.O.R.D issue number 6. You need to pick up this issue if you're a Marvel fan, or an X-Men fan, or if you want to get Hellfire Gala stuff. It's just like a very key issue for the entire Marvel Universe. This was really good, and I definitely recommend it. And then finally, we just had one more issue of Hellfire Gala this week. To be completely honest, this is my least favorite issue of Hellfire Gala that we've had so far. I'm not a regular reader of Way of X, and this is only the 3rd issue of this series that has even come out so far. As you might know, Nightcrawler is the guy behind this, one of the original mutants who was created at the very beginning of X-Men, and basically, I think he was supposed to have been starting this new mutant religion. We saw that thread start in the X-Men by Jonathan Hickman, and now it's been followed up in this. I thought this issue would have to deal more with that, with Nightcrawler developing the first Krakoan religion, but it seems like he's kind of put that aside. He's not interested in that anymore, and now there's this new looming thread of Onslaught, this, I guess, mix between, like, Xavier and Magneto, who was a villain way back in, like, the 90s, or it might have been the early 2000s. There was this big event called Onslaught. I don't know anything about that, if I'm being honest. I haven't read that event, because I haven't read that many, like, older comics like that, especially not X-Men ones. There's just so many X-Men comics that have been published, you can't stay on top of all of them. But Onslaught has somehow been reborn. He's a looming threat that only Nightcrawler knows about. He's debating whether or not he should tell everyone else about it, or if that would just cause chaos in Krakoa. By the way, this is written by Cy Spurrier, with art by Bob Quinn. I did think that the writing was pretty good at some times. There was good banter, but I really just didn't understand, like, everything in this issue. There was a lot of mutants involved that I didn't know about, some more obscure mutants, and but the art was pretty good overall. I did enjoy that a lot. We also saw this, like, mutant adoption center that had just been set up somehow. All of these mutants have been having babies, obviously, on Krakoa, and they're trying to figure out how, like, adoption would work, how different mutants can have a family with other mutants who want them. I'm not sure. It just wasn't really my favorite, especially since the majority of the issue took place after the Hellfire Gala. But all the same, that's Way of X issue number 3. So that's all of the issues that we got this week. My favorite by far was S.W.O.R.D issue number 6. You need to read this issue if you're a Marvel fan, an X-Men fan. Like I was saying, it's so key to the future of the Marvel Universe, and it seems like a lot of big things coming from Al Ewing are going to be centered around the announcements that they made about Krakoa taking over Mars, and this new metal Mysterium that only the Krakoan mutants can produce. So I always give you guys something out of 10 for my final rating on these Hellfire Gala review issues. For this week, I think I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, because the S.W.O.R.D issue was spectacular. 10 out of 10 if I was only doing a single issue review, easily. The Wolverine issue, like I was saying, was pretty good. It was a decent issue of this actual series, but it didn't really follow Wolverine, and it didn't tie into Hellfire Gala that much. And then Way of X, I just really brought down the score, because it wasn't my favorite issue at all. But now we've only got one more week of the Hellfire Gala left. I'm feeling kind of burnt out on it all, but at least it seems like they're getting this chronological order down pretty well because these 3 issues were mostly like were the Hellfire Gala aftermath. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of this video. If you got some info from it or if you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the subscribe button. That's the big red button which is sitting right below this video. You can also hit the notifications bell, which is sitting right next to it. You'll be notified every single time I post a new video if you don't want to miss any. So that's everything for me for today. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Bye, guys.